In this video, we're going to take the Bernina 560 and walk you through embroidering a design from start to finish. Now, we do have videos on a lot of these parts and pieces, so you can learn them a little bit further. But first off, I have some embroidery thread in my machine, an embroidery needle, the optional straight stitch throat plate, and that second bobbin case that has the gold latch that came with the embroidery module is in here, and the embroidery thread is wrapped through that little pigtail. I've also lowered the feed dogs and plugged in my embroidery module. I've hooped up my fabric, and you can put the hoop on at any given time. So once again, just go straight in. No need to tip it. If you tip it, you tend to catch that needle a little bit, and attach the hoop. So the design we're going to do is just something pretty simple here with just two colors. So this is a built-in design. If it comes up and it needs to fit in the large oval hoop, then that will be what comes up. Oh, I love the fact that it always tells me which hoop it fits in. So sometimes it'll come up in the medium hoop that also came with this machine. But if it's ready to go, that's where we are. I'm not going to move it or do anything that, I'm going to just embroider it right in the middle of our hoop here. We have our foot number 26 that also came with the embroidery module. And if I wanted to, I could check and see how big this design is going to be. So in the hoop area, you have an option to kind of check the four corners. So as I go around, I can see that's the upper left corner, the upper right corner, lower corners, and then I can come back and actually put the needle to the center of the design, and then I know that if I am lined up with something, it's ready to actually go. Okay, so the needle did move to its first stitching point, and when we're ready to embroider, touch the needle with the three dots. That's a little picture of some thread. It's double checking that I have not switched hoops on it. It knows if I have an oval hoop or the other size hoops that you may own. So what I like to do is gently hold on to my embroidery thread, and there's a blinking symbol here that is indicating your start button. Now, if I just push it, nothing happens, but I do need to actually push and hold for just a hair longer. It's going to take a couple locking stitches. It's going to take a couple stitches and then stop. Little symbol indicates that I should cut my thread. So I'm going to lift up the presser foot and cut my thread that I was holding on to. Lower the presser foot. If you don't, it'll tell you to do so, and then just go ahead and start it up again. So what I'm looking for when I'm embroidering is that I'm getting no white bobbin thread up to the top. Now that's a little difficult to notice. You have to look pretty close when you're working on a light colored fabric. If you have white bobbin thread, which most of the time we do, that's kind of a little hard to see. Now I'm getting a little bit up on the top when I started, so I am going to just drop my top tension down just a couple notches, and then that way I don't have to worry about any of that coming up. Love, love, love the way this design is so pretty. It will stitch, it's got two colors. So at any given time, I can see where the design is being stitched and how many minutes I have left. So in this first color, I've got about 3 minutes left. So I know I don't ever recommend that you leave your embroidery machine running unattended, but I'd be lying that I don't do that myself. So I know that in 3 minutes, I'm going to need to be back here to change the color. The first color has finished, and now it cycles through to the next color. And this little pink area does show me where it's going to stitch on this design. So everything that's pink, that way I know which color I want to put on next. So after that last stitch, it does trim the thread, but if you lift up the presser foot, it makes it really easy to take this thread off and switch out your colors. So with this thread, we do use the small spool cap because I can go ahead and kind of slide it into the end of the spool. Now, eventually that spool cap does find its way on the floor for me. So that's why I prefer to use a thread stand, because then all you have to do is put the thread on the stand, go up to the top, and then come on over. You don't have to worry about spool caps. You are going to, if you have not mastered your needle threader with embroidery, you truly want to get to that point, because nothing is more frustrating than have to thread your needle every time you change colors. So machine will tell me if I haven't lowered my presser foot, so it won't let you sew with it up, which I do like. There was also one thread that went from this point to this point. And so sometimes what I like to do is actually take my curved embroidery scissors and get that trimmed out before I start stitching, just in case other stitches go over the top of it. All right, so I'm going to lower the presser foot. It's showing me to touch and hold the start button, and I gently hold on to my thread out to the side, and then that way it doesn't get pulled down or placed where it doesn't need to actually be. It'll take a few stitches, stop. That allows me to trim the thread. Now, right now it's very close to where I started, so just make sure you trim the right one. That's the worst. And then go ahead and start stitching. So this almost has some little candle wicking designs, super cute here, and really easy to, that is really gonna look fun. So just go ahead. We'll see you at the end, and I'll show you how this design is finished. Looks like I have 3 more minutes. Oh, now we're down to 2, and we'll get this all stitched out. When a design is complete, you will get a green check mark on the screen, and it shows you the whole design. So that means we can come back out of here, and then to continue back, so we can either pick a new design or start it again. You could start now, or you could go back to the editing screen and then all the way back out to the beginning of, here we go, and back out to the beginning of all of our designs. Now, let's take a look at what you are seeing. That last stitch is cut here. So we can take the hoop off. Your bobbin thread is cut as well. We want to see a little bit of that color on the back side so we know we have a perfectly stitched design. Now, would you have imagined this was as pretty as what you saw on that little screen right here? I am always amazed at how beautiful your designs stitch out than they are pictured on your machine or in your manual. So take the time to stitch out your built-in designs. I think you'll find some that you'll absolutely love.